The outer rings of the Echelon galaxy were known less for war and more for whispers. Whispers of a healer so powerful she could mend bones with a breath, reverse organ decay with a wave of her hand. But no one had seen her face. They called her Virila, the masked healer of Rythus, for her mask, an elegant lattice of black and silver, was fused to her skin, shaped to obscure every contour of her face. It was both sacred and forbidden. Only the High Council knew the reason behind it. Even the patient she saved never saw beneath it, and to question her about it was to receive silence colder than space. That is, until the Terran arrived. Scene 1. The Arrival. Captain Elias Thorne, former Marine turned Federation envoy, stepped onto Rythus, with a limp and a file stamped in red. Inoperable neural trauma. The shuttle's ramp hissed as it descended, revealing a planet bathed in violet suns and arching silver trees. He was met by Relan, a thin, gliding figure of the Tyri race, one of the many under Virila's care. "You seek the healer?" Relan asked, voice smooth like oil. Elias nodded, struggling to stay upright. The pain in his spine had worsened, his limbs sometimes refusing to obey. "You may request healing," Relan said. "But the face remains unseen. Always." "I don't care what she looks like," Elias grunted. "I just want to walk again." Scene 2. The Sanctuary. Virila's sanctuary sat high atop the cliffs of the Saren Ridge. It was a temple carved into the mountain itself, laced with bioluminescent veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. Elias was led through a corridor that narrowed until he emerged into a round chamber. Soft, glowing mists clung to the floor. In the center stood Virila, her form wrapped in white cloth, her tall figure regal and still. The mask, obsidian and alien, hid all but two luminous lavender eyes. He expected coldness. But when she stepped forward, her touch on his shoulder was warm. "You carry pain like a second spine," she said, her voice low, melodic, and oddly familiar. Elias blinked. "Can you fix it?" Virila circled him once. Her fingers hovered, never quite touching his scarred neck. The Federation medics used crude tools. "In fear. Yours is not a body that failed. It is a soul that remembers too much." "That's poetic," Elias grunted. "I just need to be able to walk without needing a wall." Virila turned, waving a hand toward a low platform of living crystal. "Lie down." He obeyed. She placed her hands at his temples, and everything around him dimmed. Scene 3. Memories in the dark. It wasn't surgery. It was remembering. Elias saw the battlefield on Tryon 9 again. The explosion. A scream. His own scream. Then the silence. He'd survived while others hadn't, but the cost was a broken nervous system. Yet Virila wasn't erasing the memory. She was shifting it. "You hold guilt where there should be peace," she murmured beside his ear. "A body can heal when the mind allows." Images of his unit laughing, singing, drinking under red moons flashed through his head. Their lives mattered, not just their deaths. The pain in his spine faded, not like a sudden drug, but as if it had never been. When he opened his eyes, tears clung to the corners. "I can feel my feet," he whispered. Virila stepped back. "But you still limp inside." Scene 4. The questions begin. He stayed at the temple. The Federation gave him 6 weeks of recovery, but Elias didn't leave. Not because he couldn't, but because something about Virila called to him. He watched her heal a Gornak child with shattered bones, an Etherian elder in coma, even a Tari soldier who came from a species long hostile to hers. She treated them all the same. Without bias. Without words mostly. Just gestures, pressure, energy. But the mask never came off. At night, Elias would sit under the silver trees just beyond the sanctuary, watching the double moons climb the sky. Sometimes Virila would join him. "You're different than the others," she said once. "How?" "You ask questions. But not the ones that offend." He smiled. "I figured if you wanted me to know why you wear the mask, you'd tell me." She was silent for a long moment. "They say seeing my face would unravel old wounds. That the face beneath is not for this galaxy to bear." Elias studied her. "You don't believe that." She looked away. "I did once." Scene 5. Forbidden Knowledge. One evening, Elias overheard the elders of the temple whispering. "She's been marked," said one. "By who?" another asked. "The ancients. Her face carries a scar of prophecy. If seen, it would undo the peace the Tyri have held for centuries." Elias asked Rielan that night. "What do they mean, marked by prophecy?" Rielan avoided his eyes. "She is both revered and feared. 1,000 years ago, it was written that a child would be born with a face reflecting truth, truth too powerful for the Tyri to bear. It would force change. And our people do not take well to change. You think her face could start a war? Or end one," Rielan said. "It depends on who removes the mask." Scene 6. The Breaking Point. 2 days later, a Tyri warlord named Jashol was brought in, burned, nearly dead. He had once declared Virila a heretic for healing outside their caste. Now he begged for her aid. She healed him. But afterward, alone in her chamber, she collapsed. Elias found her curled against the far wall, trembling. "They would kill me if they knew what I did," she said. "But you saved him. They fear I will undo the old ways. They fear the face. So they make it holy, untouchable." He knelt beside her. "So you're not cursed." "I am tired, Elias. Of pretending I am something I am not." Slowly she reached up. Her fingers brushed the edge of her mask. "If I took it off, what would you do?" "Nothing," Elias said. "Unless you wanted me to." Her eyes filled with something like sorrow or hope. Scene 7. The Unmasking. The next morning, she stood waiting at the cliff's edge, her cloak fluttering in the wind. Elias joined her silently. "I dreamed of this moment," she said. "But in the dream, I was alone." "You're not," he said. She faced him, her hands trembling. "If you take it off, you accept what comes next. The temple may fall. The galaxy may shift." Elias stepped closer. "Or maybe, the galaxy finally sees clearly." With deliberate slowness, he reached for her mask. The metal was cool under his fingertips. With a whisper of breath, it detached. It fell into his hands like a broken shell. Beneath was a face that shimmered with iridescent hues, not terrifying, but beautiful in a way that no single species could claim. Her features shifted gently, like water catching light, blending elements of many races. Tyri, human, even Etherian. It was truth, as the prophecy said. She wasn't a monster. She was a mirror. And Elias, staring into her eyes, saw not fear or destruction, but the possibility of something new. Peace through understanding. Change through courage. Scene 8. Aftermath. The temple did not fall. At first there was chaos, shock, anger, weeping. But the wounded kept coming. And Virila kept healing. One by one, her people stopped kneeling out of fear, and started walking beside her. Word spread across systems. Of the healer who showed her face. Of the human who helped her do it. Of the truth that didn't destroy the galaxy, but began to heal it. Final scene: the new dawn. Months later, Elias stood on the edge of the same cliff, Varela at his side. She no longer wore the mask.